So in this part of the series, we are going to look at sets. So I'm creating a program I'll call this sets.py. So in the last two videos, we've looked at lists and we've looked at tuples. And basically the main focus of this part of the series is actually to look at some kind of data structures, okay, that we have with Python. We've seen some kind of similarities between them and some clear distinctions or differences and some use cases for which we may apply one or the other. Now, sets is also kind of the same in many ways, but then also has its own advantages or distinction. So I'll start off with a brief description of what a set is. So clearly what we have here is a set is a collection of data, just as we have with list and tuples. Now, one of the clear distinctions between a set as far as the others are concerned is the fact that the items or elements in a set are unordered and they are also unindexed, okay? So clearly the fact that they are unordered means they are unindexed, so they go hand in hand. And we can see that sets do not allow duplicates of members or items or the elements within. So in order to declare a set, we can have number, and we are going to assign number to, we bring the curly brackets. So the curly bracket we have over here makes this a set. Now I can just put it out this way. So clearly it's an empty set, and if I'm to print out number as we have over here, it's going to print out an empty set clearly. And if I'm to print out the data type of number, if I'm to save this and print this one out, we are seeing that this is showing as a dictionary. We are going to look at what dictionaries are, but clearly you need to put in some data in here in order for you to recognize it as a set. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to put, let's say, so these are numbers, so I'm going to say 1, 2. So if I'm to do this without changing anything, if I'm to print this one out, now we see that this is now showing the data type of a set. Now, I intentionally brought this one up in order to also go back and touch on some of the few things I missed out on the previous video. So as far as these data structures or collection of data types are concerned, they are kind of very sensitive. So you have to comply to how they should look like. Because clearly, when we first printed the data type of that empty set, we saw this as a dictionary. But then the moment we started putting in data, then it became a set. Now, in that same way, before we even proceed, let me comment these ones out and try and do something interesting over here. Now, let's say we have the variable number over here. A number is a list. Okay. Now, if I'm to do this, and let's say pass in 1. Now, clearly from all that we've learned, the moment we have a square bracket, then automatically this is a list as we have it over here. Now, if I'm to print this one out, you see that yes, this is a list and we have the data type of a list. Now, let me also try and let's say we pass in the number 1 as a string. If I'm to run this, you see this over here. Now, let's try and make this a tuple. So by putting the parentheses, then this becomes a tuple by default. Now, if I'm to run this, we see that yes, we've printed 1 over here, but what we have as far as the data type is concerned, we are seeing a string over here. But yes, I was the one who said the moment we put it in a parenthesis, then it becomes a tuple. Now, there are some instances, or in this particular use case, it is not going to be a tuple. It is only going to be a tuple when we bring a comma after it. Now, this is just by way of convention. If you have a single element, which is actually a string within a tuple, then we need to bring a trailing comma at the end of it. So what we have over here, if I'm to run this program once again, now you can see that we have this as a tuple. So this is just by way of information. Now let's quickly go back to what we are discussing as far as the set is concerned. So let me clear these ones out. and run this. So we have a set over here. Now we said we cannot, or sets do not allow the duplicates of members. Okay, so if I'm to run this, clearly we can see that after printing this, we only see 1 and 2. Doesn't add the other 2 or the other one I am about to add to it. So it is not going to allow duplicates of members. It's just going to pick out the distinct elements we have in there. If I'm also to put out, let's say, a strange. So let's say we have 1, we have 2, we have 1 over here. If I'm to run this and print this out, we are only going to see 2 and 1. It is going to get rid of any duplicates we have. Good. It is also unordered or unindexed, so we cannot. Let me come back to 1, 2, 3. So let's say we have 1, 2, 3. We probably cannot do a printing of index of 1, in which case under normal circumstances is supposed to be 2. So let me clear these ones out over. And if I'm to print this, clearly we can see that our set object is not subscribable. Okay, so that's the kind of error we see. So clearly it is not indexed, so we cannot point out to a particular index, because this particular line of code is trying to tell us that we are pointing to a particular index. There is no order and there's no index as far as the elements are concerned. So these are some kind of distinct features as far as the set is concerned. All right, so we're moving on. However, you can do a couple of other things. We can actually print the length. Okay, remember the length function. We can the length function is actually going to count the items we have in this set. And if I'm to run this, you are clearly going to see that we have 3 items within the set. Then also we can actually add in elements of different data types. So what we have from the beginning over here, these are all integers. We can have a float, so we can have 2.4. We can have a strange, let's say 2, and we can have some kind of boolean value, so we can have false over here too. So if I'm to save this and run this, now you can see that we can print all these ones out. Okay, then we also have what we have as the length. Okay, so the length is actually counting everything we have over here. So we have 6 elements over here, and last but not the least, we are printing out the data type of the variable we have over there, which is actually a set. Now clearly you can see that there's some kind of restructuring over here. Okay, so you can see that the boolean value gets printed first before it gets to the integers, floats, before the strange comes in. So that's one of the key distinctions as far as sets are concerned.